Martin, I must admit, I did not think for a moment that Aston Villa would go to the North East at the weekend and lose 5-1. Obviously, Tyrone Mings, losing him earlier on, maybe had something to do with that. But they absolutely fell apart, did they not? In a rampant second half.
Yeah, they did. There was a lot of talk about the high line that they played, and of course, if you don't close the ball down on the other side of the field, and someone has a free shot to play over the top, if you haven't got real, genuine pace at the back, then it's going to be a struggle. But the game itself, I wouldn't be a rushing to judgment over the one game. Aston Villa conceded a number of goals. Newcastle played very well, could have scored one or two themselves. But there were moments in the match that Aston Villa could easily have got back into the game again. I think young Cassius missed a great chance that could have also a goal for Aston Villa, and things turned. Newcastle are on the up. There's no question about it. They really are. The last season was terrific. They're in the Champions League now, and there's for want of better words, there's a fantastic feel-good factor around there. The crowd are right with them, and when the crowd are with them almost constantly, then Newcastle is a place to behold. There's no question about it. However, again, getting back to Aston Villa, Mings is a loss, because you don't want to be losing players at this stage. Simon made a point. Maybe Aston Villa might think about a late movement in for Maguire, and that, absolutely. And if I was Aston Villa manager, I would be thinking about that, But overall, no rush to judgment at this minute. Aston Villa, great season last year. Ended up, the manager picked them up and got them into 7th. I know they're doing handstands over them finishing 7th when I finished top 6 for 3 consecutive years, but that's beside the point. And
well said.
Yes. And but Aston Villa, I think Aston Villa have got a lot to look forward to. I like the manager, and I think he's proved himself, obviously, as a terrific manager. And I think they've got the wherewithal, and I think they have the financial clout as well too. Yeah.
The question about Newcastle, I think, Simon, is that they're about to show that last season was no one-off regards to top 4 challenge. Certainly Eddie Howe was pushed on that. Is this going to be the toughest season yet for him?
I think naturally you sort of move from challenge to challenge, and I think now with the challenge in front of us, yes, I'd say sat here today, it's our biggest challenge. But I think it's something we have to be excited about, and we have to try and take head on. There's no aspect of me that's wanting to step back from that. It's front foot forward, and it's right into it. We go into a very difficult start of the season. For me, that's clear to see, and that's another challenge added to sort of the season in itself. But we'll give it our best shot. We'll go fully in, and that's all I ask the players to deliver is their absolute maximum.
I mean, he's obviously buoyed up by that scoreline.
Yeah,
why would he not
right.
be? But longer term, do you think Eddie is going to be at St James's Park when a huge moment in the history of that club might come along?
I don't want to be unkind, because I've made observations about him previously about the fact that I didn't think I thought he bottled a Celtic job and didn't take it, and I felt that there was a style of play that might find him getting himself undone at Newcastle. And I don't think I've been particularly fair, because clearly at Newcastle the job that he's done alongside his assistant Jason Tindall has been very, very commendable.
Yeah.
They've been given a fair amount of support, but they've turned that group of players into a far better team than even most people would have considered, even with the kind of support they've got. They make rod for their own back by winning games like 5-1, because it creates expectation. I don't care who you are and what you are. Football fans are born and bred and exist on expectation. And the problem with expectation is if you keep on ramping it up and eventually you don't deliver, there comes a consequence. I've always maintained, like that Martin Luther King, I may not be there to see it with you, that he might be a very useful part of building Newcastle to the point where the perceived inevitability about Newcastle coming to the top of the pyramid in the Premier League and taking that bauble, he may not be there for that journey. I don't wish it upon him, but at this moment in time, what we do have is the signings that they're making are sensible, balanced, structured. They are spending proper money. They are spending proper money. They will spend 150, 160 million pounds in this window if they get the next signing that they want. I think that they want one more. And with that in mind, that's not an insubstantial amount of money. Villa got Everton next week. If Villa get beat at home by Everton, then people could start worrying about it. Unai Emery's a good manager. He'll be fine. But I just think at this moment in time, Newcastle are back to being a team that people really enjoy watching.
Yeah.
And everything, whether it's the boy they just bought in, Tonelli,
Sandro Tonali, yeah.
And everything about them. The boy Isak is a proper player up top. They're a good side. I'm curious to see how far some of the signings will take them. But right now, Newcastle are in full throttle and full roar. And we'll see how that far. I think if they can get into the top 4 this year, I do think they'll have crossed the Rubicon. I do. I think to go in the top 4 again will be. I'm not suggesting they can't. I'm not having another bet with you. Thank you.
No.
But I do think if they do it again, it will be as remarkable, if not even more so.
See, I think the signings have been significant. They haven't been Johnny Splattercash, even though they're Saudi owned. In comes Sandro Tonali. In comes Harvey Barnes. These are good signings, Martin.
They are, absolutely. Harvey Barnes is an excellent footballer, got a little bit of pace, scored one of the goals as well too, just coming on as a sub.
Yeah.
And you expect him to make a mark there. And Tonali, you would. You mentioned it before, Jim. You're thinking in terms of the amount that he's cost them. Is it? Let's say it's 55 million pounds, almost half the fee that's been paid for a number of central midfield players or defensive midfield players. And sometimes Tonali calls himself a defensive midfield player, even though he scored a goal. He actually likens himself to that old warrior Gattuso, way back some years ago.
Yeah.
So he does.
But Martin, Premier League
he's definitely.
This Saturday night, Manchester City, Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
So the second game, are they getting them at a good time? Newcastle, are they getting City at a good time? I mean, can they go there? Can they go to the Etihad and come away with it?
Are they in good form going to the game? Yes. Are they getting Manchester City at a good time? Is anybody getting Manchester City at a good time?
Well, before they really built momentum.
It's comparable to last year because Newcastle really set the heather on fire last year when they really took it to Man City at this time last year. They went 3-1 up and City clawed themselves back. But what we got, this is a game. This is a
proper game, absolutely.
And don't forget, City are in Athens midweek to play Seville.
Yeah, I think the point that both of you made there is that whatever you say about Newcastle, there's an excitement about the place now that really does take your breath away. It is really when the crowd are behind the manager and the team, and they haven't been for quite a number of years there with different managers. At the end of it is a place to behold.
Are they top 4 for you, Martin?
They could easily do it. Now they have European games. They've got the Champions League, and of course that's something that any manager would want to do really well in, and they could go deep in the competition. I don't know that, don't know that there. But are they top 4 for next season? Well, I'm not sure what to make of Chelsea and Liverpool just at this moment. Hard for me to make a judgment in the one game. But you expect Chelsea to improve. You expect that. And honestly, you'll still expect Liverpool to have that sort of doggedness that at the back end of last season that they pulled round again. And whatever Klopp has done, whether he atones for something he said about 115 years ago, it doesn't really matter. He is a splendid manager.
Yeah. I think you and I might go back up there, the northeast. See your old pal Sir John Hall
Absolutely.
again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Newcastle, at the Etihad on Saturday night. But as I said, City have got to go to Athens to play Seville in that Super Cup. It's quite a week, actually, isn't it?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.